Who exactly is Gyro Zeppelin? Why did he travel all the way to America to join this deadly race? Everything starts with a 9-year-old boy. Half a year ago, in some European country, there was a boy named Marco. He was born into a family that had been servants for generations. At a young age, he was sent to work at a baron's household. Before he left, his father told him, "As long as you work humbly and diligently, one day you'll live a happy life." The boy was very obedient. He woke up earlier than anyone every day and polished the baron's shoes and hats until they shone. But before long, the gendarmerie stormed into the estate and arrested everyone. It turned out the baron had been plotting to usurp the throne. Once the plot was exposed, all his family and servants were treated as accomplices. Because Marco polished the baron's shoes every morning, the court judged that he couldn't possibly have been unaware of the rebellion. So even at just 9 years old, he was sentenced to execution by beheading. While resting at camp, Johnny accidentally knocked over Gyro Zeppelin's backpack. Inside, a folder stuffed with official documents fell out. Such documents, bearing a coat of arms, could only be used with the approval of kings or lords. Could Gyro actually be some kind of noble? Not only that, the bag also held several newspapers reporting on that very 9-year-old boy's case. The boy was scheduled for execution in December. At the end of the year, an officer named Zeppelin had tried to appeal for him, but the court rejected it. The retrial cost alone would be $50 million. Johnny was shocked. Could it be that Gyro Zeppelin was that Officer Zeppelin? Just then, Gyro, his face dark, was already standing behind him. Having his privacy exposed clearly displeased him. No matter how Johnny pressed him, Gyro refused to say another word. And in any case, this wasn't the time to argue. A suspicious man was now riding up to them on horseback. By now, the organizers' hot air balloon had already landed. This place had become a lawless wasteland. Even killing someone here would go unnoticed. Realizing this, Gyro instantly shifted into a fighting stance. Johnny also drew out the revolver he had never used before, then hauled himself onto his horse, ready for combat. Gyro shouted, ordering the man to halt and come no closer. But the man said he had simply followed the firelight here. During the day, while relieving himself, he had been bitten on the hand by a venomous lizard. He wanted to borrow some fire to cauterize the wound. From his description, Johnny deduced it was a spotted fire lizard. If untreated, the man would soon die from the poison. If he quit the race and waited for rescue, the earliest the organizers could respond would be the next morning. By then, he'd be dead many times over. They couldn't just let him die, could they? So Gyro drew out a torch and walked toward him. Still, to be safe, the two warned him not to come any closer. "Take the torch," they said. "Light your own fire and treat your own wound." The man thanked them repeatedly. Then, to their shock, he pulled off his belt, looped it around his neck, and tied the two ends to a tree trunk and his ankle. All it would take was one push with his foot, and the belt would tighten instantly, strangling him into unconsciousness. Was he trying to hang himself? He explained that this was his own method of anesthesia. To stop the poison from spreading, the bitten finger had to be cut off immediately. By tightening his throat, he wouldn't feel the pain. Saying this, he sliced it off. As the belt constricted, his consciousness faded. Finally, foaming at the mouth, he collapsed. "What the hell? Right before I sleep, you make me watch this?" Gyro hurled the torch at him, shouting for him to crawl off somewhere else and start his own fire. But seeing no response, Gyro walked over, kicked away the knife on the ground, and shouted at him again. Still no reaction. Could he be dead? Before Gyro could figure it out, he felt something strange on his foot. His boot, perfectly intact a moment ago, suddenly split apart with several gashes. At that moment, Johnny, checking his race number, learned the man's name, Andre Boom Boom. He had ranked 10th in the first stage. Both 9th and 11th place also carried the surname Boom Boom. Clearly, they were a family of 3, which meant this man still had 2 companions. Sure enough, 2 more riders emerged from behind the dunes, charging straight toward them. They were Andre's father and younger brother, Benjamin Boom Boom and L.A. Boom Boom. Yes, the younger brother, who also happened to be a cross-dresser, and their horses' hoof prints were the very same ones Mountain Tim had been tracking. No doubt about it. This family had come with ill intent. Gyro immediately shouted to Johnny, "Take out the one on the right," while he himself aimed left. They had to shoot the 2 down before they could get any closer. Just as Gyro was about to throw his steel ball, a numbness jolted through his foot. Looking down, he saw blades sprouting from the top of his foot. The skin of his leg was turning unnaturally hard, and that strange condition was crawling steadily up his calf. Whatever it was definitely the enemy's attack. As the 2 riders closed in, Johnny hastily raised his revolver to fire, but before the bullet could discharge, the gun broke apart in his hands, falling into a heap of useless scrap. The scattered pieces even flew toward Gyro, sticking to his leg. Not only that, the fragments kept drilling into Gyro's flesh. From within his calf, sharp blades began bursting out. His leg had turned into a magnet. The iron inside his body was being controlled by the enemy, tearing his flesh apart. As the magnetic force grew stronger, even knives from afar were pulled in, flying toward Gyro. The two enemies on horseback pressed closer and closer. Gyro quickly blocked the knife with a steel ball, then hurled the ball straight at one man's face. But the rider didn't flinch. He only stared at the incoming steel ball. He raised two fingers with his right hand, aiming at it. And in the next instant, layer by layer, the spinning steel ball was stripped away. By the time it reached him, it had shrunk into a tiny marble. What the hell was that? How did he do it? Johnny and Gyro, still unfamiliar with the idea of stand users, could only tell that this power was far beyond human. Unlike the insect-wielding misses, this was something else entirely. This was superhuman ability. Meanwhile, the cross-dressing younger brother had already circled around behind them. The one who had faked hanging himself was also climbing back to his feet. The two were now completely surrounded. Glancing over, Gyro saw a faint little figure beside Andre. "Johnny, can you see that thing?" he shouted. Johnny replied, "Maybe take a look at your own leg first." The metal fragments had already burrowed deep inside Gyro's muscles, and the closer the enemies came, the stronger the magnetic pull became. The three opponents looked completely confident of victory. The brothers even chatted idly while circling them. Andre, to show off, he even tucked his ear into his own ear hole. After a brief discussion, the family decided Andre would be the one to finish them off. As the enemy charged in, Gyro drew out another steel ball. The spins attack had proven useless against them. What move would Gyro make now?